You're listening to Interviews with Choir Leaders. I'm your host, Dan Bennett. In each episode, I talk to a choir leader about how they got started, what their choir is like, the methods they use to lead their choir to success, and other choir-related topics of interest. If you're enjoying the podcast, you can support the show by helping it grow. Subscribe and follow the podcast, or better still, share an episode with a friend. You can also support the show directly with money. If you become a Patreon supporter, you can send us a little bit of money each time a new episode comes out. Every little bit helps us to keep on bringing you fascinating conversations with great choir leaders. Check out the link in the description. Now let's get started.
Okay, here we go. Are we ready?
So, welcome to another episode of Interviews with Choir Leaders. My guest today is Astrid Jorgensen. Welcome to the show, Astrid.
Hi, Dan. It's so nice to be here talking to you.
And did I pronounce your name right? Because I've heard other people say Jorgensen and Jorgensen and...
Look, I think Jorgensen's actually correct, but we are Bogan, so we say Jorgensen with a hard J, but it's okay. I'll respond to both.
Okay, cool. So you and I got to connect at the James Cuskelly Summer School in January this year. You were teaching on the faculty, and I was a student trying to soak up all the knowledge. What did you think of this year's summer school?
I think teaching on the faculty is a very generous thing to say, Dan. I was assisting Pete Churchill, who is a brilliant jazz professor and performer, and I was just so excited to be in the room and finding ways to be helpful. But yeah, look, it's not my first summer school. It's my first on the teaching side of things, but I've been to a couple in the past. I love it. I think it's on too early in the year. It did start on January the 1st, but I do love starting the year with some deep thoughts and some big challenges mentally. I think that's what summer school does. It sort of, I don't know, brushes away the Christmas holiday cobwebs and gets you really thinking hard, and I'm always pro that. So it was a good time. Did you enjoy it?
Oh, very much, yeah. And I think obviously the content of the education is awesome, and I learned lots of great like conducting tips, for example, and songwriting tips from yourself and Pete Churchill, and lots of great knowledge. But also equal to that is just like the people who are there. You know, it's great for networking, and it's great to be around other music teachers, choir leaders, music educators, and like these are my people.
yeah, your crew. Yeah, no, it's nice. It's really nice to be in a I think there's, thousands of people, or maybe 1,000 that do it or something like that. It's a huge audience and group of people that meet up. And yeah, it is kind of nice to just be amongst people that you don't have to explain your job to. Yeah, everyone is kind of on the same page, which is a really lovely way to start the year.
Yeah, it's awesome. The following is an audio recording from the James Cuskelly Summer School in January 2024, and it's Astrid teaching her song, You Will Never Have This Day Again, to a crowd of participants in the workshop.
If it was good, be grateful. If it was
So today we're going to learn a little bit about your choir journey and also what you do, what it is that you do these days. Let's go back to the very beginning. So tell us your origin story. How did music enter your life?
My origin story. Where did it go wrong? Well, I was encouraged to have music lessons as a kid. I don't remember even when they started, but I know that I've got a certificate somewhere in the house where I was performing Suzuki piano books when I was 4. So I don't know. I know that I was getting piano and violin lessons. I don't really remember. I've got 4 older brothers, and so they were all having music lessons when I was growing up. And I think kind of that soaked in a little bit. None of them are particularly musical. But I think I heard them having music lessons. So it was a very normal thing in the household. I wasn't particularly enamored with it. I think at high school, I didn't pick music as a subject. It's in a really strange way. And I guess I just didn't understand as a kid that when something is easy, it's actually good. I thought that because music was really easy to me, and I thought it was like a throwaway subject, and it wasn't. And that's something that was drilled into me a little bit at home, maybe as well. It's like the frill of life, but not the substance. And so I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. But I did end up studying it in year 12 when I was failing physics. and then it actually started to make a little bit of sense that it's like, oh, it's not an easy subject for everyone. And so then I think it just like planted a little seed in the back of my mind that it's not a bad thing to be good at something. And so then I studied it. I went on to study it at uni as well. And then that's when I kind of came across, I was really lucky. I had James Cuskelly as my lecturer at UQ, and I had never heard of solfege or pentatonic scales. I had never heard of any of that. And it sort of just opened up my mind a little bit about how to contextualize music. And I guess I realized around then that it was something I was good at, and it was exciting. And then, yeah, I just kept going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really interesting that because for some people music is so difficult and it's so mystical, and then for other people it's just like, water to a fish. It's just like
Yeah.
this is easy. What are you guys talking about?
Well, there was heaps of stuff that it turned out that was difficult. Like now I appreciate that there's certainly lots about music that's very difficult, but in terms of like hearing sounds and remembering them or singing in tune or things like that, was stuff that did come really naturally to me. And that's really a gift. That's so cool. That I had kind of like, everyone's good at different stuff in life. I certainly can't do lots of other things, but for some reason, yeah, I can just hear a song and kind of know what's going on. And so that was a really cool discovery, and I'm very grateful to have realized that at uni. And yeah, it's kind of shaped my life. So, no complaints.
Yeah. Uh, it's like I listen to lots of podcasts with entrepreneurs and things like that, and they talk about it's wonderful when you find something that feels like play to you, but to everybody else seems like work. And that's when you know you're onto something. It's like, oh, this is just enjoyable for me. And if for everybody else, it's like, oh, how do you even do that? So.
Yeah, it does feel like a bit of a trick sometimes, because yeah, I think for some reason people do view musical performance as a bit mystical, and I'm like, yeah, it's just like you being good at accounting or something, except I don't know, we don't go to that concert. But yeah, it's like it just so happens that the thing that I can do in life, people think is really impressive. So I'm like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm doing a bit of a trick sometimes, but okay, I'll take it.
Totally. Hey, is it true that your first choir was called Choirbolical?
Yes, it still is called Choirbolical. It still exists in Toowoomba. Yeah, I had been in a few choirs, and I was studying choral conducting at uni. And before I graduated, I was part of the Queensland Korai Choir, which used to be held at UQ, and James was the conductor. And he got a request from a Toowoomba choir called Choirbolical for someone to run a workshop, and he recommended me. And I had genuinely never stood in front of a choir before. I had been studying conducting, but I'd never taken a rehearsal. And I just said yes. I said I'll give it a go. And Toowoomba was about, I don't know, just under 2 hours away from where I lived. And I drove there on an early morning. And do you know what's strange? I am a very haphazard person, and I hadn't really planned as much as you should. And for some reason, I just like knew what to do. And they are such lovely, patient people as well that they, I probably was doing all sorts of awkward things, but they were very forgiving, and it just felt like really natural and nice. And it was another moment where I thought, I think I might be like good at this or something. Like, I don't know, I just knew how to explain what I wanted from them, and the sound was changing in an exciting way, and I think they felt excited, and so did I. And then so I actually ended up being their conductor. I would drive to Toowoomba once a fortnight after teaching, and it would be a really long day and a really long night, but it was like the best part of my work. And so I actually ended up conducting choir vocal probably for 5 years. It was really cool, and I'm so grateful for that, for finding that group of people that allowed me to kind of cut my teeth as a choir conductor.
Yes, that is so valuable for new choir leaders, is to have a a ready and willing group to to practice with.
Yeah, I've had a few since, and not everyone is so willing to be understanding when you are also working out the music in real time. So that was, what a gift.
Yeah, I've been pretty blessed myself to to have a group called the Canberra Chordsmen, with whom I was a singer first, and then an assistant director, and then eventually the director. And yeah, they're very, I'm sure, looking back, because I've got some footage of me conducting back in the day, I'm like, oh God, what was I doing? But they were patient with me, and saw that I could grow. So,
that's so nice. Yeah, what a gift. What a gift to find just people who are willing to make something.
Yeah.
It's nice.
The following is a recording of Pub Choir singing ABBA's The Winner Takes It All. So, choir leaders are always hungry for new exercises. What's your favorite warm-up exercise to do with the choir?
Oh God. So with pub choir, I don't even really do them anymore. Look, my favorite warm-up exercise is one that makes people feel less awkward. Anything that you can do to do that. Sometimes, and look, this is probably controversial for early in a conversation, sometimes I think choir conductors can spend a little bit too much time obsessing over making your singers feel uncomfortable before we make any music. Like, stand up, do this, breathe this way, you're breathing wrong, you're standing wrong. And sometimes I just think, let's figure out what needs to be addressed in terms of the music. Like, when we sing something will arise, like, we need to find out how to make a longer breath, to take a longer breath to finish this phrase. Not, you need to figure out how to breathe different before we even start the rehearsal because you're wrong. Like, okay. I don't know. So when I do warm-ups with a group, if I ever do, I will probably try and just do something that specifically addresses the music or what we're going to encounter in the music. So if we are singing super long phrases, I might get us to sing something that will help us focus on that, some lip trills or something that helps us feel like we're extending our breath. But yeah, I don't have like a cookie cutter method of warming up, because I just feel like the music is what will decide what we need. And I don't want anyone to feel like they are inadequate before we've even started making the music. So, if I'm going to do something, it might just be singing a little chorus of a song that everyone likes, or, it's just something relaxing. I feel like everyone sings better when they feel more comfortable. And so that's, I don't have an answer. I'm sorry.
No, that's pretty good because, well, that speaks to the reason we do warm-ups. And, if you find that we need to put people at ease and make them relax and feel nice and happy in the space before we get on to learning the song or whatever it is, let's sing something, a chorus. I think that's a great idea because, like, I've done that before too, is like, well, let's just learn the chorus of the song all together. Because most of us kind of know it already and everybody's going to feel successful when they do that and relaxed. And also the like warm-ups being fit to purpose, I think is like a lot of the great conductors that I admire, they do that too. That's like, well, in this song tonight, there's this one word that we keep saying wrong, or there's 100 different pronunciations of this word. So in the warm-up, we'll do a little phrase that uses that word, and we'll just make sure we're all agreeing on how it's done.
Yeah, actually, while I was hearing you say that, I guess I probably would. I think in any circumstance, no matter what the repertoire is, and no matter what your goal is to shape the repertoire in the way that you think will feel really good, probably one thing that I would do is actually just establish the relationship between the singers and the conductor. So sometimes I do watch choir performances and I think I wonder if the conductor stopped moving their hands, if the sound would change at all. Like, is it just something that's been rehearsed very particularly? And does the conductor need to be there at all? Are they shaping anything in real time? And I love the feeling of shaping stuff in real time. So maybe at the beginning of any rehearsal, I would probably do something like, let's just sing a scale, but I'm going to change the tempo throughout, and I want you to follow each note with me, because what we're doing is happening now. We're not singing along. We are the singers. So, or like I might change the volume of this simple warm-up that we're doing, and I want you to follow me, or I'm going to do some articulation. I'm going to cut you off in the middle, things like that, where it's just like, we are making something now, and you need to watch, and you need to think and be engaged. That's probably where I would lean towards any group. Is that kind of warm-up.
Yeah, look, I agree. And in fact, just last night with my choir Strange Weather, I did something just like that. I think we sang a round, and I was like, all right, watch me closely because I'm going to change the tempo while we're doing it. And suddenly every eye was on me. And so good to have that immediate feedback loop between the choir and the conductor. But also, like, I could when the singers are really watching you, you can actually improve your conducting gesture because if something was a little bit messy or out of time, or not everybody understood what you meant, then that, okay, that was something I did with my hands that was unclear, and I try it again, do it again. That was much clearer. I gave them a bit of breath that time, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a really nice conversation to have with your choir, with your hands, so I think that would never be a wasted warm-up if you could strengthen that connection and that dialogue that you have with your singers.
And often, I mean, like in every choir there's people coming and going. This probably better than anybody, but like no choir is the same week to week, because there's always someone new, or in your case 1,000 new people. So like it's getting everybody on the same page together as well. So
absolutely.
The following is a recording of pub choir singing How to Make Gravy by Paul Kelly. Listen for the string arrangement, which was done by Astrid. So speaking of pub choir, I'm really fascinated to know how you choose songs for pub choir, and when you're arranging the songs, what are your goals or principles, or what are you optimizing for when you arrange a song for pub choir?
I just want everyone to feel low level satisfied. I mean, I want them to feel like they both got to um uh do something easy and do something hard is the easiest way what I'm thinking about.
Hmm.
Like if I take any song, I want every, because I arrange them in 3-part harmony, SAB for the choir people listening. I don't usually say that in interviews, but yes, it's SAB arrangements, and I want every section to sing the melody sometimes because that's satisfying for people. And then I want them to, when they're not singing the melody, to sing something that is a good level of challenge and somewhat memorable so that they don't have to feel too stressed. Yeah, that's pretty much it. How can I divvy up the melody so that everyone gets it sometimes? And then how can I make the rest of the time feel not too stressful, but something interesting? That's it. A lot of oohs, a lot of ahs, a lot of lyric echoes, but always starting with the principle of, is there something for everyone to do here? And that's probably the only thing that I'm thinking about when I'm picking a song. Is it a song that has a good range for everyone to share? Can I move the song so that it has a good range for everyone to share? Or are there only 2 notes and it's not the song for us?
Yeah, so I've just had a bunch of questions appear in my mind based on what
Mm.
you just said. So first one, like, um, are you looking for songs? I think because like having watched a bunch of pub choir videos, they're mostly like big hits, rock or pop songs that probably majority of the audience is going to know already. Like
Mm-hmm.
you Running Up That Hill, Kate Bush, or Zombie by the Cranberries, or Africa by Toto, or people have heard it on the radio at some point, even if they've never tried to sing it.
Yeah.
Um, so so you're looking for songs with like a lot of sort of public knowledge,
Familiarity.
familiarity.
Yeah,
That's the word I'm
yeah.
looking for.
I definitely want songs that at least some people know, because it just takes away the stress. Like, sometimes there's 3,000 people in the room. A lot of people are carrying singing trauma with them, and they feel very ashamed of their voice. And this has been a huge deal for them to even come to the show, and they've been dragged along against their own will. And so I don't want to bring out some song that scares them further. I want it to be a song that they hear it and they're like, oh, well, I've sung along with that in the car plenty of times. It just helps me. It helps everyone to feel as though we're not, I don't know who's listening to this, but pushing shit up a hill. Like I think it really takes the spice out of things for people. They're like, well, at least I know the chorus already. I can already succeed at that. And then the other important thing for me is to really impress upon everyone at the show that music is malleable. So yes, this is a song that you have heard, but we're going to do a fresh version now, and that's what we can do with music. You are not just bystanders or consumers. You are allowed to be involved with the creation and creativity of music making. And then so those people who are very hesitant, they're going to feel included because they've heard the song before. They don't feel isolated from the repertoire and the style of music. And then also they get to feel like they contributed something real, not just singing along karaoke, but, a new version of the song. So I think familiarity with the music helps both of those goals.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you're aiming to reduce the stress of the singers in the
Always.
audience.
Isn't that the goal of life?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so removing barriers, because I've heard you speak about this before. Like, um, so it's there's a lot of choir nerds out there, and we just spent 2 weeks with them all in the summer school in, in Brisbane. But
Yeah.
the general public, as you said before, a lot of them are carrying around a sense that they can't sing, or they shouldn't sing, or someone told them once that you can't sing in tune, and so you're aiming to remove those barriers, possibly lubricated with a little bit of alcohol as well at the pub choir event, and get them doing it. So, and I just reflecting on the one time that I attended a pub choir event, I got the sense that the way you were running the show made me feel like it was okay to get things wrong, but you should sing
Yeah.
anyway, and we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously. Like
Yeah.
we're not performing at the
Yeah.
opera house here. We're
Exactly.
just sort of
We're just
yelling
having a
along.
nice time. We're just having a nice time. Isn't that a good enough reason to do anything if you're not hurting anyone? I mean, like, we're preaching to the choir. I don't need to convince anyone listening to your podcast that choirs are really valuable and creative spaces for like-minded people to get together. Pub choir is probably not attracting those people. There are definitely choir nerds that come to the show, but there's lots of other people in the world, and they feel left out. And so there's many rooms in the house of music. I'm trying to let people know that it's okay to want to be involved. Like, it's so fine if you sing out of tune. You're still allowed to enjoy singing. And sometimes I think that the choir world, with our auditions and sheet music and uniforms and things like that, and the repertoire choice, makes not everyone feel welcome, and that's okay. Not everything has to be for everyone. And so pub choir is just addressing a gap where people love music and they love singing, but they feel so embarrassed about their skill level, and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. And on top of that, I do really believe that we are creating quite a good performance at the end. Like, I think that it really shows everyone that it is possible to be part of something good if you help each other. Like, I don't, like, it's called pub choir, and yes, some people get drunk, but it's not like some disgusting debaucherous like rowdy thing at the end. I'm always trying to get us to a musical destination, and we always arrive, so we always arrive somewhere interesting. So I think that's important as well. It's like, yes, you're not an ARIA award-winning performer. You're not an opera singer on a stage. You are part of a rabble in a room, but you're still good enough to make something, listenable. And that's really cool to give people that gift because, as you know, and as all of your listeners know, making music feels different to listening to music, and it's a
Yeah,
beautiful gift to share.
yeah. So one thing that I think the pub choir that pub choir and you do really well is smoothly transition people from being a passive consumer of music to a creator of music. Because for a lot of people, they think that singing is for the Beyoncés of the world. It's for the pros. Um, and I think yourself and other choir leaders who facilitate this kind of thing prove to general audiences that no, you don't need to be a professional to be able to do this. Singing is for everybody, and it doesn't matter that that you don't need to have a 4-octave range to be able to do it. You can still sing the chorus of "Running Up That Hill" or whatever it happens to be at the time.
Well, most popular songs that people love and are the soundtracks to their lives don't require a 4-octave range. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, like there's one thing that I'm really conscious of with pub choir is trying to merge the worlds of music, because I think lots of people consider some music high art and then some low pleb music, but all of it is notes. All of it is music. All of it is for everyone. And so, yeah, I want people to feel like they are welcome in the universe of music making. I hope that pub choir is a jumping off point for people to feel less embarrassed to, sometimes I will write an entire orchestra score. At Christmas, I write for an orchestra and a choir. And so at Christmas, we had 7,000 people sing with an orchestra. And, like, all of us should feel welcome to be involved in that world. And I think it's time that we stop gatekeeping maybe the experience and who is allowed to even enjoy the music. Like, I feel embarrassed sometimes going to a symphony orchestra concert. I feel like a bogan, but I'm really great at music. I'm really good at it, and I can write it, and I can write for orchestra. So, like, why should I feel embarrassed going there? I feel like it's time that we start opening up this world a little bit more and inviting people in and being like, it's all just notes, baby. If it makes you feel something, then you're invited. You're allowed.
yeah. I think it's really, yeah. I love hearing that that's part of your sort of mission and goal. It's kind of to erase some of that elitism and gatekeeping that exists with some kinds of music and within some musical communities. And I just think really detrimental. Like that kind of music will die out if the gatekeeping and elitism is there all the time. You're just not going to get new people involved in it. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of people like bemoan the dying out of like the skill level of music making and creativity in this country. But I feel like unless you cast a wider net, you're not going to and invite everybody up, then you're not going to cultivate that talent. I think cultivating talent is something that maybe this country culturally is not so comfortable doing, encouraging people from the beginning level. You know, when you think about sport, there's AFL little kicks in every city or whatever, and there's, you know, like work indoor soccer teams. Like everyone is kind of just hanging out and kicking a ball badly and having a lovely time. But where are you going to go if you play the violin really awfully? Where are you going to go? What orchestra is going to take you? Where can we make music casually? It doesn't exist. And if you go to like a jam night and you are really awful, everyone's going to be annoyed at you for coming. Like, where can we make music and explore music and feel okay? That's what I'm trying to address.
yeah, yeah. And I think possibly choir music has a special advantage in that way because, and I've heard you say this before, that like you don't have to pay to sing, like you don't have to buy an instrument. Everyone's got, nearly all of us are born with a good voice, or a voice rather, and it doesn't cost anything to have a sing. And I really like the fact that with choirs and singing, there's every kind of strata. Like you can take singing to as high a level as you want, but also singing can also just be singing a few sea shanties in a pub. You know what I mean? Like it can be every level from, and I don't like saying, high to low, or or skill.
Experience to non-experience.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah. But like it can be every kind of strata, and I love that there's choirs. There are lots of non-audition choirs, and there are choirs with a simple audition, and then there are choirs with like really stringent audition, and very very high levels. Like I just learned the other day, the King Singers is coming to Australia soon. I'm like, oh, I really really want to go see those guys. But yeah, like it's everything. The barrier to entry is very low, and that's why I think it's great when someone starts a new community choir and it's a non-auditioned choir. That's a really healthy thing for to have that in your town or in your city. You've got an option to
Yeah,
sing, and
absolutely.
there's no pressure.
And ideally, the person taking that choir who has opened the doors and let everyone in finds a way to challenge the singers to reach for more. Because that's the second step, isn't it? Yes, you can let everyone in, and then what are you going to ask them to do? Because that's when we learn, and that's when we develop and change and share and experience new exciting things, and we bond as a community, is when we make stuff together. So that's the exciting challenge. What will you do when you open the door?
The following is a recording of Pub Choir singing Teenage Dirtbag, featuring Brendan B. Brown from the band Wheatus.
Her name is Noelle, and I have a dream about her. She rings my bell. I got you in class in half an hour. Oh, how she rocks in kids and two socks. But she doesn't know who I am, and she doesn't give a damn about me. 'Cause I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby. Yeah, I'm just a teenage dirtbag, baby. Listen to Iron Maiden, baby, with me. Ooh.
So you've mentioned before that the choice of song at pub choir events doesn't really matter. Why is that?
As in, I don't want people to care what I choose. It matters to me because I'm arranging it and I'm teaching it to thousands of people at once. But what I mean by that is people often say, well, I won't buy a ticket till I know what the song is. And I'm like, well, doesn't matter to you, does it? Because even if it was your favorite song, I'm going to teach it in a new way that you don't know. So you will be at a disadvantage if you are planning on singing karaoke along with the song. It's not going to be that. And if it's a song that you've decided you don't like the way that it sounds, well, we're not even going to sing it like that. So why would that matter? If it's a song that you've never heard before, well, no one's ever heard the arrangement that I'm doing before. So you'll be in the same boat as everyone else. It's kind of like inconsequential to the experience of the show to me when I view the audience from their perspective. It's like, it doesn't matter what the song is, you're going to have the same amount to learn regardless. But of course, as I said, I try and pick things that I feel like people will be familiar with to take away the sting of stress when they walk through the door. I'm like, well, it's a Queen song, you will have heard it. And then they feel bolstered. They're like, oh, I can do this. I know I know what musical universe we're in because I've heard this song lots of times. So it helps for the song to be familiar, but I don't want anyone to care what it is. They do, though. I can't stop them from caring, but I would love them not to.
Some people, of course, like have their favorite songs and they cling to them.
You can sing your favorite song any day you want, though. Anytime you want, you can sing it. It has nothing to do with me.
Actually, that was a question that I can't remember because I came along to one pub choir event in Canberra. I can't remember whether I knew the song in advance or even if it was announced. Do you announce the song in advance?
I do. For people who really care.
Okay.
A day, usually 24 hours, sometimes 2 days before, I will put it somewhere online. Just like for people who are freaking out, they can really dig deep and go find the song. It's usually like on Instagram or something. And I'll just sing a little bit of the song to let people know. But honestly, then the comments for that are quite annoying. Like, it's people being like, oh, I'm really disappointed. And I'm like, I've only been working on it for like hundreds of hours to get it ready for you. No worries. Like, it's sort of, I would prefer people not to care, but people, of course, they're buying a ticket. They deserve to know. If they're really stressed about it, I'll let them know. But you have to go look for the information because it doesn't really matter.
Interesting. Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I think, one of the choirs that I work with in Canberra is Mixtape Chorus, and when we do like a new members night at the start of every term, and just recently we did the song was Somewhere Only We Know by Keen.
I know it.
Yeah, it's a great song. Anyway, we did that and we made a little Facebook event and Instagram and stuff like that, and say, the event was called Come and Sing Somewhere Only We Know by Keen with Mixtape Chorus. And so sometimes we leverage the fact that it's a well-known popular song to try to attract more people who are like, oh, I really love that song, I would love to sing that with a group of friends. And then we attract those people. So is that something, have you done that in the past, or do you prefer not to do that, or
I've only done it once, and I did it for Running Up That Hill with Kate Bush because the song was #1 in the world, and actually it's really rare to be given permission to sing that song. And so I thought, for any fans out there, if you've sung it in a choir, you probably weren't supposed to. Like, it's to get the rights to sing that song is actually really special. So I did advertise that one song one time.
Yeah, okay. And that you've told that story before on a couple of other shows that I listened to.
Yeah.
And it's so just I'll let listeners go find that and listen if you want to hear that story. But yeah, that's a special. Yeah, I can see why you did it for that one.
Yes, exactly.
And here is that recording. This is Pub Choir singing Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. So for the arrangers and the would-be arrangers in the audience, can you tell us what your arranging process looks like?
Well, it's kind of what I said before. I divvy up the melody and then I find something else for everyone to do. Find something close by. no jumps, as stepwise as possible. If I can find a way for the other parts who aren't singing the melody to be singing something that feels like a riff or feels memorable, that's great. Yeah, just make the melody sparkle. Find a way to make that feel good. I try not to overcomplicate it. If I'm arranging for an orchestra, that's a whole other thing. But I'll just try to make sure that they are always supporting what the singers are doing, and then everything else is just frill. It's a difficult thing to describe in words, but just trying to find memorable, satisfying things for the other parts to sing when they're not singing the melody, and everything serving the melody.
Yeah. So when I listened to a few of the examples on YouTube, I noticed that you use that echo effect, the echo technique, a number of times, which is cool. Where so like the melody singers sing the melody, and then the other parts will sing the same words with different notes, obviously. And do you? And I know this technique, like I've done a lot of arranging in the barbershop harmony style, and that seems to be a thing that barbershop arrangers like to do a lot too, especially say when the melody has like a held note. The other parts, the harmony singers, will sing an echo of what was just said, or sometimes even add new text that is kind of like, driving the point home of whatever the lyric was saying. So do you do that? Do you sometimes inject your own version of like an embellishment to the lyrics sometimes?
I try to refrain from doing that. I don't think I've ever changed a lyric. If I'm getting them to echo it, it's like a reduction of the lyric. But I try not to write anything above and beyond what has already been very successful and well received.
Yeah. And not upset anybody in the audience, like, that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you have like homophonic sections where everybody's singing the same words at the same time, but they're on different notes? Like one of the parts has got the melody and the other two parts are singing something else?
Yeah. I err towards polyphony, everyone doing something a little bit different, because it's singing, holding a note when it's not the melody against the melody at the same time, I think is a more difficult task for people who aren't used to choral singing. It's very easy to just join the melody when you're singing the same words at the same time as them. So I would use that sparingly.
It's easy to stick to your notes when you're singing something
different.
Ba-da-da-das or doo-doo-doos or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, cool. No, that's good. I was really interested in the method behind the arrangements that you do, and what because it sounds like, again, you're optimizing for success of the singers. So like, give them something that is memorable, and it's not going to be so like if you write a homophonic harmony to the melody, sometimes that, as you said, that's hard because if you're inexperienced.
It's hard for anyone. It's hard for even experienced choirs. You can get lost. So think about what it feels like to sing it.
And so when you're arranging, do you write it out? Like, do you use notation software or anything like that?
No. Of course, if I have instrumentalists coming along, I'll write it out for them. But no, I don't have time, and I'm doing new songs from almost every show. So it doesn't, and I'm not allowed to sell the arrangements. I've got licensing agreements that are very strict, and so it's just like, what's the point? It's just wasting time. So I just I'll notate it in solfa, maybe above the lyric sheet, like just like little DRM, do re mi's or something like that. But I don't have the time to write it out. It doesn't help anyone. It's only me that needs to know the arrangements. If I can remember it, then it's good to go.
Cool. Do you and how do you practice it? Do you just have a perfect musical memory and you can just remember?
No. Well, you know what? I've got a very good working short-term memory, and a terrible long-term memory. I can't remember anything that's ever happened to me, or I just feel like, it was funny when I was a school teacher. Like, I could remember kids' names on the first day, just from hearing them once, and then I actually would forget them, but they thought that I knew who they were, and so it was still like a powerful behavior management strategy. Be like, I know each of you, but I had already forgotten. But I can remember stuff really well for just a short time, so I'll just remember the song. And I do make a PowerPoint to explain it to the audience as well, so that helps me as a memory aid. And I did kind of invent this style of, it's almost like vocal tab, guitar tab, where it shows you, it's like showing the notes where they go up and down, and I use color codes and all sorts of things. So that also helps me remember, but it explains it to the audience too, which is nice.
I remember that. So when you came to Canberra, we did the song "What's My Scene" by the Hoodoo Gurus, which was great, by the way. I love that, and there was some really cool. I remember my part. I was singing the low part, the baritone part, and there was just some nice like little chromatic steps up because of the chord progression. I was like, oh yeah, you can feel this. It's cool.
I don't even remember.
But I think you really got the audience on side because the PowerPoint that you had for us with the lyrics, you had all of these gifs of like politicians.
Yes,
and there was, yeah, and I was like, you're really catering to the audience here, and it worked perfectly. I think the audience immediately loved you at that point.
Oh, well, I think a lot of people don't know that it's kind of a comedy show as well. Like a lot of, I've had a few grumbles from choir people being like, I teach choir, why is yours so much better? And I don't know the answer to that. I've never been to my show. I've never attended. But it is a comedy show as well. Like I do kind of bespoke, little visual gags for the audience to teach the song and stuff like that. So that is a big element of it. So I'm glad that you thought it was well pitched to a Canberra audience. I wasn't sure if they would be too tired of politics to look at their their boss's face, on their night off. But yeah, hopefully it worked out.
There may have been a few people like that, but who cares? That's fine.
Yeah, companies, everyone.
I just remember there was a gif of Penny Wong. Is that her name, right? Penny Wong.
Yeah, Penny Wong
doing a wink.
yes, that's the one. Yeah,
that got a lot of laughs. So during the show, what is your process for teaching the song to the audience? Like, do you start at the beginning of the song? Do you teach the melody first? Do you put the song together one section at a time?
Look, it's different to how I would teach a choir in a rehearsal space. If I was going to see them regularly, I would teach that out of sequence. But in a show, I'm teaching it in sequence, line by line, call and response, as fast as I possibly can. That's my strategy.
So but for example, do you do the verse, teach the melody, and then teach the other parts for the verse?
No, I don't have a plan. I'll just see. I honestly don't know. It changes every show, every song. Okay. I'll tell you what is real, because it's an improvised show. I couldn't possibly prepare that because I don't know what kind of audience I have. I might turn up and there's 10 men and 2,000 women. Like, I'm going to spend more time with them, coaxing them through. Or I don't know. I really, really listen on stage. I almost like dissociate. It's like an out-of-body experience where I just am purely listening and trying to think as fast as I can. I'm not I could not follow a plan because I don't know who they are and I don't know how they feel. And so I'm living note to note like an addict. I just, whatever they sing back is what shapes the next thing that comes out of my mouth. So I don't know. I wish I could plan ahead, but I can't.
Okay. No, that's good. Well, it's obviously working, so that's fine. I remember you said in another interview that sometimes you'll sing the line that you wrote for the singers, and they sing something back at you, which is not quite what you sang, but you often just run with what they do. Yeah,
sometimes I won't even mention it to the crowd. Like, just it doesn't happen often. Like, I will usually try and fix it if it's not going to work harmonically.
Yes.
But certainly with rhythms, it happens a lot where I have studied the song and I'm quite familiar with where the rhythms are, and I've put it on the board and I've tried to explain it, and I sing it to them and they sing it back with a different rhythm as an entire group, and they all just agree. And I'm like, why would I stop and change that? If you agree and you're singing the words at the same time, then that is good enough for me. Like, that's the more common thing where it's just like, oh my God, I'm not going to even interfere. But very occasionally I will sing, where the melody goes up or down or something, and the crowd just agrees. And if it doesn't affect the overall harmonic effect, then, like, for me, it's all about knowing when to let go. I'm just like, well, who cares then? Why would I stop? For what gain? If I waste time and try and change when they change up one tone or something, and it doesn't have any effect on the overall thing, then I am a time waster. So I just move on.
Yeah, I mean, that seems wise in the circumstance, because it's like, I could spend 2 minutes fixing this, Or I could use those 2 minutes learning the next line. It's like,
Exactly.
and you've got how long is a typical pub choir show?
Well, from the time they walk in and the show starts to when they go home, it's probably 2 hours, but there's lots of stuff that happens in between. I think realistically, I'm teaching them for an hour. And there's lots of other stuff going on, but there's a break in the middle and all sorts of things. But yeah, it's probably an hour of lesson and that.
Yeah, exactly. So every minute is super valuable, and you've got to squeeze as much out of it as you can. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, makes sense to me. The following is a recording of pub choir singing "I Wanna Dance with Somebody" by Whitney Houston. Do you think choir leaders need to adjust their method when working with very large groups? Because a pub choir...
well, I'd be surprised if you didn't. I mean, yes, absolutely. I certainly would address a group of 30 in a church hall differently to I would 7,000 people at River Stage. Yes, you absolutely need to do that. I think, it's taken me a while to say this without feeling embarrassed, because I think it's hard to especially in Australia, it feels like if you say anything good about yourself, you're like up yourself. But I think it's a skill that I have, knowing how to change my style. I don't think everyone would feel comfortable conducting 7,000 people and telling them what to do at the same time. And some of them are drunk and some of them are loud and all of them are wrong. It's something that I have to... I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. And so that I don't exactly know how to explain how to change between the two, but I know that I do. I would move much faster with a big group. I can speed up if I need to. You will lose the attention. Sometimes if I sit in someone's rehearsal of a group of 30 and I feel like, oh my God, we've been talking about this one phrase for 15 minutes. I could never do that with a large group. It is time to move on. Always. Even if everyone's wrong, it's time to move on. It's about keeping the momentum going. Whereas obviously you can take some time with a group and you can really dig into one vowel shape and prepare for the Eisteddfod or something. It's a totally different goal and method of working. Speed is the number one difference that I can think of, but I'm sure there's lots of other things.
Yeah, well, that's huge. And I mean, I've heard, I think there's a lot of parallels here with stand-up comedians, because they talk about flow and reacting to the audience and moving with the audience like you're all one big organism. And so, good conductors that I've observed and heard speak about this, they talk about flow, rehearsal flow, and knowing when spending an extra 30 seconds on this is the right thing to do, and knowing that I'm going to need a good 10 minutes to fix that. We'll do it next rehearsal. I'll plan something and next rehearsal we'll get to it. And right now we've got to move on because the tenors over there, they look bored. They've been waiting around.
Yeah, although I think one of the great joys of working with a group consistently is that people can be bored sometimes, and that's okay. That's, it's not like playing the pokies and there's lights flashing and dings and everything and constantly positively reinforcing us to keep going. Sometimes just sit there and be bored, and that's cool too. Obviously my show is different to that. But there is a place for being bored in a rehearsal and listening to other people learn something. That's a nice thing, I think, about singing in a choir is being there when change is happening and it's not even for you. You're just low-key invested in the success of the group. And so you're just going to sit there and listen to the sopranos on this phrase for 10 minutes. That's a nice benefit of being in a long-term group, working at something slowly and seeing the benefit over time. So certainly I'm not saying don't do that, but yeah. If I did that at pub choir, everyone would leave.
And it changes the game because most choirs, like the model of most choirs is that we rehearse every week or perhaps more
Regularly.
frequently or less
Yeah.
frequently. Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas pub choir is a one-off event. And so
Mm-hmm.
that changes a lot about the dynamics. And so I think probably the thing that has changed the most is the flow of the rehearsal, for want of a better word, has got to be smooth, consistent, and there's always got to be, you said, momentum, a sense of momentum. We're moving forward. Even if that phrase is wrong, doesn't matter in the big picture. Let's keep moving. Let's go to the next thing.
Yep, you got it.
So after learning and arranging so many songs, do you have any special insights about what makes a great song?
I mean, that's so subjective for each person what a great song is. Songs that are easier to teach are repetitive. I've certainly changed my personal opinion about repetition being a bad thing in a song to repetition being the most wonderful thing ever, and is a wonderful tool to get people feeling welcome in your song. Is if they already know how it goes, then that's a big win. Doesn't mean that I would necessarily write a song for myself to express myself in that way, but I can see in a group situation with all of those people, if the song repeats itself and feels familiar, oh, what a gift. What a relief. The small changes throughout songs where I don't know why, but sometimes the artist will have added in one bar or one beat, the second verse, and then the third verse, they've changed the melody entirely. Like, what an annoying thing to do. But obviously I'm approaching it from an arranging perspective. To listen to that is probably very exciting, but so I don't have an answer to what makes a good song, because that is totally up to each person, but I know what makes an easy song to arrange and teach is a repetitive one.
Yeah, look, I perfectly identify with that, because I arrange a lot of stuff myself, and it's but it's nice to bring it with like verse 1 and verse 2, the melody's the same. Like it's like that saves a lot of time.
Yes. Yeah.
But then again, like there are those little bits of spice sometimes in a song. Like one thing I started noticing, because I transcribe and arrange a lot of pop songs for mixtape chorus, is that I've started to appreciate song form more, because a lot of the time you'll go intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, another chorus, fade out, something like that. That's a pretty typical kind of thing. But then again, you'll there's this I really like Thelma Plum, and in one or two of her songs I've noticed she does this interesting trick where it'll go verse, pre-chorus, chorus, but the first time you do the chorus, it's only like 8 bars long. It's like a mini chorus. And then she'll go verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and then on the second chorus, it's the full 16 bars or however long the chorus is. And that's just a nice little trick that's like the first chorus is just a little taster, and you're like, it leaves you wanting more, and then you get straight into verse 2 earlier than you expect, and you go, oh, that was a bit weird, that was a bit disorienting, and then later on you get that full satisfaction.
It's the delayed gratification that Pete Churchill talked about a lot at summer school. Yeah, that's a cool tool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, are there any songs that changed your mind where you thought, "Oh, this isn't that great a song," but then after you worked on it, you went, "Oh, this is actually there's some cool stuff going on here."
I think I'm probably a little bit less emotionally involved than that. I'm quite clinical. I think I'm not picking songs because, it changed my life and I want everyone to be on this emotional journey with me. I am using songs as a tool to explain stuff and to get a feeling of harmony in the audience. So I've picked plenty that I probably have never listened to relax, but I don't care. It's all notes, baby. That's what I'm saying. It's all just notes. The subjectivity is up to each individual person, but for me, I'm just it's like a robot. I'm just like explaining the notes. Here you go, and now feel something. I think probably I would say, though, again, it's come up already a few times, but running up that hill was very complicated to arrange and to find a pathway through that was smooth for the audience. And I thought that was one of the most challenging shows I've had musically to get people to the destination. And I think there was lots of little songwriting elements in that tune that were really unique that I hadn't come across before, because I've done hundreds of shows and hundreds of songs, and that probably had some more subtle songwriting stuff that I hadn't come across, like for instance, the verse, it's about two people fighting and wanting to see things from each other's perspective. And at the beginning of the song, the chorus emphasis is on beat 1, and then in a 4/4 song, and then by the end of the song, the emphasis of the chorus is actually beat 3. Like the whole song has shifted perspective, things like that, where I hadn't encountered that before. So it's little things like that that was very impressive to me. But other than that, oh God, I try not to get too emotionally involved in the song.
Sure. But that's fascinating to me. It seems like every now and then you come across a song where there's stuff in it that only another musician would recognize, or someone who has like studied the song and go, oh, that's really clever what they've done here.
Although probably implicitly the listener knew too.
Yes.
Maybe not able to describe, but I feel like, the song, the feeling of that song just is exactly what is happening. The content of the song, changing perspectives. Like, I feel like even if you didn't know that the emphasis of the chorus had changed, the listener still knew, kind of thing. So that's incredible songwriting, when it just is a feeling that allows you to explain. And if you dig in and analyze it, you can realize it with your, top hat on, but actually it was already implicitly understood just by listening to the song. That's so clever and so cool. It's probably quite rare in the songs that I'm arranging that it's that clever.
That's interesting, isn't it? It's like, I sometimes think about this, like with an arranging technique or a compositional technique, there's the psychological impact of that, like moving the emphasis from beat 1 to beat 3 is the sort of musical explanation, technical explanation of what's happening. But the psychological impact is maybe that, the perspective has shifted. But how did the music show you that the perspective has shifted? Well, they did this thing where they moved from beat 1 to beat 3. And that's useful for songwriters and arrangers who are like, I want to recreate that psychological effect. How the heck did Kate Bush do it? Oh, this is what she's done. Maybe I'll use that technique in my own song.
Yeah, look, I don't know her, and I don't know how she works. I suspect it probably also wasn't as clinical as that for her. I feel like that's where the magic songwriting happens, where people just understand a feeling change, and then yes, you can go back and analyze it. I feel like probably to copy and paste that idea onto a different song won't be as magical, because it was something. It was like an urge, but I'm not her. Maybe she did do that, and that's very cool too. But we're always, I feel like as a songwriter, trying to find the thing that defies analysis and explanation in the moment. You can go backtrack and figure it out later, but just shifting the feeling of the song. That would be a goal for me, but you can't even aim for stuff like that. It just happens.
I just want to say one thing else. I assume you're probably a fan of Neil Finn and Crowded House and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
He's because I love Crowded House. I listen to so much of their stuff, and there's this songwriting trick, I'll call it a trick, that I've heard Neil Finn do in a bunch of his songs, and it just works every single time. Often he'll have a pre-chorus before the chorus, and let's say you hear the pre-chorus 3 times total. The first 2 times it's the same length, and then on the 3rd time you hear it,
it's longer.
He just adds like an extra 4 bars or something, and that means like you just have to wait a little bit longer for the chorus, and often those extra 4 bars have like an extra lyric that somehow adds this new dimension to the chorus when you finally hear it. And I just did Pineapple Head in New Zealand like 3 days ago. Great example.
I've even been so lucky to arrange for Neil Finn when he came to Australia and work at the Gold Coast, and then I had a choir there backing his band, which was so cool. I think he's probably one of the greatest living songwriters, and
I
his lyric content is, to me, unmatched in terms of sheer scale and quality that has been maintained throughout. There's lots of good songwriters that have written some cracking songs, but I feel like he has done so many. It's prolific. He's Mozart, everyone's like promoting high art because look how many things that Beethoven wrote, but Neil Finn is out here writing hundreds of incredible songs. He's very he's peak songwriting, so I'm glad you like him too.
We'd just love to meet him one day, maybe someday. The following is a recording of Pub Choir singing Pineapple Head by Crowded House. What do you think are a choir leader's most important skills?
Gosh, that's entirely dependent on the person, probably. Authenticity. I feel like if I were to take your choir, I would be looking for different outcomes in the music because I'm listening differently. That doesn't mean it's better or worse. I feel like the best outcome you can possibly get for your choir is when you've been authentic to what you're comfortable with. I think, it's tempting to try to recreate the style of choral singing that you hear other people do. And in the process, ignoring the people that you have and the experiences that they are bringing to the choir and the experiences you yourself have and where you feel most musically comfortable. I think we're not trying to be covers bands, cover choirs. Like we're not don't fall into the trap of trying to recreate the Cambridge Singers or something. You are your choir and your group, and the best thing that you can bring is to listen deeply to how your choral singers feel and what gets them excited, and then to shape what you do around that along with your skill set. I think that's authenticity. That's just trying to find something true and real to share and create in real time with your choir. So that means probably trying to tune out a little bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Like blueprints of what a choir should be. Yeah, I think that's the best gift you can offer your choir is like, let's try and find something true together.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing to aim for. And along with that would be listening to your choir deeply and trying to meet them somewhere where they are and then to go together. Yeah. And I think that probably full circle comes back to your first question about like warm-ups and things like that. Like, are you trying to impose your idea of a choir onto these lovely people that have come and trusted you with their voice? Or are you finding out what it is that they need to feel better in the music and then journeying there together? I think authenticity is probably the greatest destination and most exciting place to arrive as a music maker. So I think that would be the biggest skill to try and cultivate.
That's great. And, none of my other guests have said that before, so that's really interesting, the authenticity. Original. So you took the words out of my mouth. It's like meeting your singers where they're at. I remember a quote, I can't remember who said it now, but like, conduct the choir that's in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Instead of pretending or wanting them to be something else, we'll actually listen to them and go, where are they at right now? Okay, this is the group we've got. These are the skills we've got, and how can we shape this or build on what's already there? What are the strengths of this group? Let's highlight those strengths.
Yeah. Or yeah, exactly. I agree. That's exactly what I mean. Well done.
What aspect of choir leading most excites you?
Probably when I have a destination in mind that the choir doesn't believe is possible, and finding a way to get there, and then the seeing the change in them, and just being like, see how it was possible all along. And that happens at most pub choir shows, where there's lots of reluctant people who don't think that anything is possible, and then at the end, like, I stuck to my guns, and because I trusted that what I had done was well informed. Like, it's not just that you should have a goal in your head and just stick to it blindly and ignore everything that's going on. But like, I've been doing it long enough now that I kind of know what is going to work. And then so it is very exciting to arrive together, and then to see the self satisfaction that people have, and the surprise that they have in themselves that they were allowed to be a part of that, is really, really exciting and really cool. And that never diminishes show to show. Like, that moment of coming together and surprise and excitement that they also were a part of it. Yeah, that's so cool.
Where the singers get to go, damn, we sound good.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I think everyone is capable of that, especially if you've picked the right destination.
Yeah, I imagine because there's so many great videos of pub choir. Do people watch back the videos and then see themselves in the videos and go, "Wow, we sounded great"? And like, do they send you messages about that?
They might do. I try not to look. Certainly, there's lots of comments underneath the video being like, "Wow," I do see those. Yeah, I think it's a surprise to a lot of people that a song can be reinvigorated in this way and reborn and reimagined and still feel like the song, but then a new version that included them. And that's the point of music making, really, is to find a way to express how we are and who we are. And I feel like pub choir does that because, yeah, it's this really unique merging together of people's skill levels and experience levels and excitement levels and sobriety levels. It's a lot of things mixed together in one big pot, and the outcome is always surprising and exciting. And yeah, I think even for musically educated people, it's an exciting destination. Like, it is unknown to me. I know the notes that I'm going to teach, but I don't know how it will sound or feel. And so for every single person in the room, it is an unknown arrival point. So it's cool for everyone at that moment.
Yeah, it's an adventure every single time. That's so cool.
Exactly.
Here's pub choir singing "You Learn" by Alanis Morissette. What aspect of choir leading do you find most difficult?
Everything that's not the music. I don't find choir leading the notes particularly difficult. Sometimes songs can be really challenging, or I might not know it, be as prepared as I should be, but it's pretty much everything else. Like, I'm speaking probably more outside of pub choir and just to choirs that I've dealt with, like we're dealing with individual human beings who have their own feelings and journeys going on, and it's not always the same as yours. And of course it can never be. And so I think that for me was quite challenging, working with smaller groups, trying to juggle the feelings of everyone. And of course you can't be everything to everyone, but I do find that is quite an intimate part of choral directing that maybe is not talked about heaps, is the actual trying to get individual human beings to relate to each other and to meet each other on the same level musically, can be quite challenging, and all of the admin that goes behind that. So I guess in a way I've sort of I've managed to escape that a little bit, because my choirs, I don't know who they are, and I don't need to figure that out really. But I think that's a huge challenge for choir directors, and, power to you and everyone listening that is being so patient and gentle with all of your singers. It's important. You should be doing that. But yeah, I think it's pretty challenging too.
Yeah, I think some of the friction that I've seen occur outside of the music, as you said, the music is often like the bit that we get into choir leading because we enjoy it. But some of the frictional bumps occur when there's different expectations from the people in the choir. Like I've seen it happen a few times where some folks are like, I wish the choir was, everybody would rehearse at home and so we could sing at this level. And then there are other people in the choir who are like, I just like to turn up and I don't do much practice at home. I just like to show up and have a sing. And so then you've got two, and that's just two people, but you've got like 30 or more people, all with slightly different expectations about what they're coming here for. So that's why it's nice maybe to start the rehearsal communicating on the same page. Watch me. We'll just do the same thing at the same time tonight. That's what we're going to aim to do. It is impossible to try and contain the multitude of everyone's existence in a choir rehearsal. That's too big a task, but maybe just let's communicate in the same way tonight. Let's find a shared plane of existence just with this music, and then go and live your complicated lives and don't talk to me after. It's a huge challenge, but I think the music allows us to find a way to do that, to find a playing field that we share. But certainly everything else. Yeah, I think that in some ways that's like almost like the primary goal or primary function of a choir leader is to like set a common goal that is achievable and then get everybody to work together to achieve that goal.
That's it.
Just like leading a team, or probably CEOs have the same problem, right?
I'm sure it's a very it sounds like an old problem, getting people to agree.
Yeah. What do you wish you were better at?
Oh my God, what, in choir world or just in life? That's too big a question, Dan. Oh my God. I'll stick to choir. I wish... I feel totally overwhelmed by this question. What do I feel I was better at? I suppose I wish I was better at the moment of completing a project, taking the time to absorb that. I'm very hectic, haphazard. I think my nature as a person allows me to do a lot of things quickly and to move forward on projects a lot. But I'm very bad at stopping between things and congratulating myself or those around me sometimes. Like I think I am too hungry to move on. And I think that is not a good quality sometimes in a creativity, because if you don't stop to absorb any of the positive outcomes, then you can feel depleted as you go on. And I am the creator of that problem for myself. So I wish that I was better at that, especially with pub choir. It's very nature. It is very busy and there's lots of shows all the time and things are always changing and moving on. And I'm very bad at stopping and at any point and acknowledging how far something has come or how far I have come or how much work I've put into something or whatever. I wish I was better at that.
I can relate hard to that, actually. It's almost like one rehearsal finishes and then the next day the next thing. We got another rehearsal the next day for a different choir, and there's no like reflecting time.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, life is relentless until it's not. So, I mean, that's going to be something that we have in life always, unless we choose to stop. Like, there's always going to be the next thing while we are alive. So, yeah, I think it would be good, right? How do you solve that? You tell me.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking that it's that's why she's sort of make recordings. So, and Pub Choir's got tons of great stuff on YouTube. And for me, I record rehearsals and record performances and stuff like that. And just every so often, it's good to just watch one of the old recordings and go, oh yeah, we really nailed that song. Or sometimes when I'm watching back like a video of me conducting, I'm like, I did get better at conducting. I'm much better than that guy.
Well, that's nice. That's good. Self-reflection. Good on you.
But that's why people like taking videos or photographs. It's just having a little record of what there was.
Yeah, maybe I should go watch some videos.
You should. Didn't you say in another interview you really like rewatching the How to Make Gravy one?
Yeah, look, I've done that less these days, but yes, I remember for a while I did like to go look back at that one because it was the first time I ever included other instrumentalists. Not that I think that that's really important for the show, like singing voices should be enough, but I suppose that was a cool thing for me to reflect on, that there's a horizontal experience as well, not just like building up all these harmonies, all these people, but there's also like we can add more into the soundscape for people to sing on top of. That was a nice thing for me to realize. And it was probably the first time that I like sort of put my neck out a bit and I was like, oh, actually I'm quite good at arranging. I can write it for strings. And it worked out. Like, I think that it was probably like a bit of a courageous step for me. And now I do that a lot, so I guess it feels less magical. But I think that first one, I was like, hey, look what I did. But yeah, got old now. I don't listen to it anymore.
Well, you've got lots of videos on YouTube, so you can pick any of them. I really liked, by the way, the Life in a Northern Town. I remember you spoke about that in another interview about how you think that was a special night, and it shows up in the video too. There's a bit of moshing happening in the audience, and and it's got just one of those great choruses that sings out so well, and it's one of those ones that it doesn't happen with every pop song, but I feel like some pop songs really lend themselves to a large group of people singing, especially the chorus. You know what I mean? Like like the hey oh ma, that chorus is just such a great one for a large group to sing. And other songs with choruses that are catchy, but it's sort of like meant for one singer to sing it. But this one just sounds so great with lots of voices.
Yeah, that was a really cool night. It's funny because that video is not like, say, a viral one. Some are and some aren't. But that was like a viral experience. Oh, I shouldn't say that. And now it's a different world. That was a feeling at that show that can never be captured. And everyone who was in the room knows about it. Yeah. It's gone down in history as like one of the most incredible feeling shows. But the video itself, like I think the video is really good, but it hasn't popped off the way some others have. But that's because it was a real thing that happened that we felt only. And that's the joy of choir singing, is that yes, you can record it and look back and take photos and all sorts of things, but it's first of all just a feeling. It's a feeling that we share.
Yeah, there's a choir leader from the States called Jim Henry, who I really respect, and one day I'll get him on the show. And he said when people come to a choir concert or a choir performance, he said, this is his words, his idea. He said, they don't come to hear good music, because if they wanted to hear good music, they could sit at home and put on some headphones and listen to any music ever, any music at all that they wanted. He said, when they come to a choir performance, what they want is an experience. And that's something that doesn't really get captured on an audio recording or even on a video. It's something that only is felt fully when you're in the room, up close to the people that are making the music, and the feeling, the emotions pouring out of that choir and into the audience. And sometimes it's a two-way thing as well, So
and even more than that, the singers are experiencing it the most deeply. And at pub choir, everyone's a singer. I think everyone who sung in a choir knows, like watching a choir, yes, very moving, beautiful, but singing in the choir when it all goes right is unspeakable magic.
Yes, and that's why, people get addicted and turn into lifelong choir nerds. Oh, it's so tragic.
Here we are.
Here we are. Here is that recording of pub choir singing Life in a Northern Town by Dream Academy. Which choir leaders do you admire and respect?
Any. I've never watched a choir I didn't like. The only time I wonder is, I mentioned already, when I'm like, if they stopped moving their hands, would the sound change? But I think anyone who takes on the task of shaping such beautiful, delicate voices that are so unique, that's an amazing thing. I learned conducting from Anthony Young and Reka. I don't even know how to say her surname, but I had her as a lecturer for many years. And Deborah Shearer, I learned conducting from them, and they were all fantastic at their craft. I also did some summer schools where Alita King was my conducting teacher, and they're all fantastic. But I think anyone taking a choir and trying to make something true that exists in the moment is my favorite conductor. I'm not going to idolize. Yeah, I don't have any choir conductor posters on my wall, but if I hear a choir, probably not. But if I hear a choir and I think to myself, they decided on that feeling on stage, like it was happening in real time, then that's magic, and I think that choir conductor is fantastic.
Cool. Good answer. You have a time machine and you can go back and give your younger self a piece of advice.
God, it's another regret question. Yes, sorry, go on.
You can go back and give your younger self a piece of advice about choir leading or music. What do you say?
It gets good, keep going. All of the bad stuff that happened, like, I wouldn't say this, but I mean, now looking back, everything that I felt wasn't going my way, I learned a lot, and I can't live in this regret world, Dan. I can't change anything. Everything that's happened has led me to a certain place, for better or for worse. I have no other options. There is an infinite universe where lots of Astrids are experiencing lots of different versions of this, maybe. But yeah, for me now, I'm just really stoked that it's worked out, and I can't believe that I get to have my job, but I suppose I also do believe it because I made it. I made it myself. So I don't know. What would I say to my younger self? Surprise! Like time travel. I don't know. Yeah, nothing. I'd just say, hang in there, keep doing exactly the thing. There is no other options than to go forward. Yeah, don't know. That's such an underwhelming answer, but I don't know. I feel like if I dwell too much in, like, I wish I could have done this or that, nothing changes for me now. And so I try not to.
That's good. I like that. It gets good, keep going. That's great.
Yeah. Don't change anything, just continue on, but well done.
That's so cool. Astrid, it's been awesome talking to you today. Do you, if people want to keep up with you and what you're doing with pub choir and whatever, where should they go?
Just type those words into Google or any search engine and you'll find me, pub choir. There's a website, pubchoir.com.au, but yeah, there's lots of social media, lots of everything. We're traveling a lot in the world this year. tickets do sell pretty quick. So if you're keen, set a little reminder if you see something announced. But go join a choir. If you can't see me, go and join any choir and start there.
Hey, good. I'll support that.
Yeah, that's it. More choir, more singing for everyone.
Thanks, Astrid.
Thanks, Dan. Lovely to chat.
Well, folks, how fun was that? It was a delight talking to Astrid and learning all about the phenomenon that is pub choir. One of Astrid's ideas that I'll be implementing is using the warm-up to establish the link between choir and conductor, to create something in the moment and make everyone feel present together. What was your favourite tip? If you want to find out what Astrid is doing next, check out the show notes for links to pub choir. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a choir leader or a choral singer. Let's not keep it a secret. Spread the love. As always, you can find me and my projects at danbennettmusic.com. There you can see all of the episodes of this podcast, my arrangements for choirs, free resources like rounds and barbershop tags, and other fun stuff. We're going to leave you now with a recording of pub choir singing I Want to Break Free by Queen. It's a good one. See you next time.